G'day, welcome to Down in the Woodworks and to 2018. I know it's a bit late, but I have been busy. I've been away from the workshop and from YouTube for a little while, but I'm back now. The start of the year has just been crazy hectic. Been doing some home improvements. I wouldn't say so much renovations, but improvements. So that's kept me very busy. A few of them I was in a bit of a rush to get some of them finished before we went on holidays. So I was away for holidays for almost 2 weeks. And then when I got back, did some more home improvements. So yeah, been flat out. Don't think I haven't been doing anything. One job I did get done in the workshop for the first job for the year, which I really did want to get done, is timber storage and timber organisation. So I've got this old bookshelf here that I want to reuse for timber storage. Basically what I'm going to do is put it on its back, and that'll give me 5 bins for smaller offcuts of timber, just to store them vertically. And that's going to go into this area here. So where all that timber is there, it's basically just going to sit there. It's going to be on casters, so I can easily move it out. And yeah, and that back wall will have taller and longer pieces and sheet goods as well. I'm not sure why this bookshelf had its top and base removed, but here I'm just installing a board at each end to finish off those 2 end sections. Whenever you're going to screw into MDF, it's important to drill pilot holes to stop it from splitting. After drilling clearance holes in the sides of the bookshelf for the screws, I used the same drill bit to mark the holes on the end piece, and then drilled pilot holes with a smaller drill bit. The existing backboard on this bookshelf was 9mm MDF, so it was strong enough for a base, and I just reinforced it with plenty of 50mm nails. And to finish it off, I installed the casters. Again, drilling pilot holes for the screws so the MDF doesn't split. Then it was time to fill it up. Here I'm just clearing out this space so I can stack and store the longer and larger items. Well, I've finally got the timber storage in that corner all sorted, and I'm pretty happy with it actually. Plenty of storage, taking up that whole space there. The good thing about it is it's right at the garage door, so if I've got to bring in any large pieces, they don't have to go too far to get stacked. This bookshelf thing on its back with the wheels, that's working out really well too. If I need to get to the back and remove any of those larger pieces, this thing just wheels out. And here's just another angle. You can see it from the outside of the workshop. So there it is there. All nice and neatly stacked. Wow, I wonder how long I can keep it like that. While I'm in the organising mood, I thought I would take it a bit further and try and get my trailer back to its original location, I suppose, which is actually behind those gates. For quite a while now, it's been living in the front driveway because the reason being, I've got 2 timber stacks behind those gates. So this is currently being used as a timber storage area. There's those gates there. And what I want to do is I want to be able to get the trailer back into this spot. So the idea is going to be to build a timber storage rack along this wall. I'm really lucky here because I've got a really wide side access, and when the trailer is parked in here, I still have about 550 mil of space along the side. So what I want to try and do is build the rack out of stuff I already have. Here's 12 lengths of Oregon or Douglas fir, which to be honest I probably wouldn't use for anything other than something like this. Those pieces there's 12 of them, and I only need them half as long, so when I cut them in half, they're going to be the cross pieces of the rack and the actual supports that hold the timber lengths up. So these timbers are pretty rough, and that's the reason why I said I probably wouldn't use them for a project. And as you can see, they've got lots of knots in them along the way. So what I want to try and avoid is having a knot right where I need to drill a hole for the steel support. So I came up with this idea of making like a story stick. So what I've got here, I've got this piece of dowel. I've marked the bottom, and then I've marked along that dowel everywhere where there's going to be or needs to be a hole drilled for one of the metal cross supports. So what I can do now with that is, because these need to be cut to length anyway, so I have got a bit of room to move. What I can do is use this story stick and place it on the timber and move it up and down until I see that each location where I need to drill a hole is free of a knot. Once I'd marked all the locations for the cross supports, it was over to the drill press to drill out the holes using a 38mm hole saw, which was the exact diameter of the steel pipe. To stop the storage unit from racking side to side, I needed 4 strong horizontal braces, which I ripped from this plank of hardwood. To attach the braces to the vertical supports, I cut a notch in the supports by clamping them together and cutting all 4 at the same time. And then the braces were glued and screwed into place. Each one of these tubes needs to be cut into 2 lengths. These tubes are actually a old trampoline frame. So what I need to do is about 100mm on each end is a smaller diameter than the main tube. So I don't need that piece, so I'm going to cut that off. And then the remaining length is going to be cut in half. The final design calls for 16 of these, which means for me 16 cuts. Now there's 2 ways for me to cut these up. First is by hacksaw, which I'm not going to do, and the second way is by angle grinder. The only problem with angle grinder is how do I get consistent, clean, straight cuts and always the same length? Well, to solve that problem, I just came up with another one of my quick and dirty jigs for the angle grinder. Just to quickly explain this jig, which you can see is made up entirely from scraps. I'll just take that out. I've got a stop block there. These two pieces here are positioned so that the tube fits inside them nice and tight, but it's still able to spin. That reference piece there is at a right angle to these two pieces here. And those two pieces are positioned at the right width for my little sled that I made here. And it's just a hand operated sled. So the idea is put the pipe into the jig, push the angle grinder up so it just cuts into the tube, probably clamp it off there to hold it in position. And then while that's running, I'll just turn that by hand. And that way I can cut all of these lengths nice and square, clean, and the exact same length. The angle grinder sled itself is pretty simple, as you can see. It's just two boards glued and screwed at a right angle. The angle grinder itself is attached with a countersunk screw through the bottom, and that's screwed into the existing threaded hole in the body of the angle grinder where the removable handle goes. And the end of the grinder is just held in place with a cable tie. The ground in this area wasn't level because it was sloped down towards some stormwater drains, as you can see behind me there. So I measured the height of the top crossbar separately at each vertical support location. And then marked that measurement on the length of timber and used the story stick to mark the location of the other three crossbars. With the second half of the rack now built, it was time to put it together. And this is where the benefit of the story stick was obvious, because the two halves went together without any trouble at all. To tie it all together, I put a screw through both ends of each crossbar. These 100mm screws were the only ones I had, so I just cut off the excess when I was done. I gave the whole thing a coat of exterior grade paint. For a bit of added security, I made up a couple of brackets and anchored the rack against the wall. And then came the satisfying part of filling the rack with timber and parking my trailer back in its spot. Well, I'm really happy that I managed to get that first job out of the way. Yeah, it really needed to be done, and now that it is done, I can concentrate on other things. So got a few little things coming up, a few little jobs that I've been asked to do by people, so hopefully they're interesting enough to make videos out of. Otherwise I do have other projects on the list. Yeah, so again, welcome to the new year to everybody, and yeah, hopefully it's a big one. If it's your first time here to the channel or you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing just to show your support, and also hit that notification button, that way you won't miss out on any future videos. If you like my videos, please give them a huge thumbs up, it does help, and feel free to share them around amongst your friends. You can catch me on Instagram also in between videos just to see what I'm up to. But until the next one, you guys all have a great day.